welcome to the latest edition of Extra Time. Craig Burley and Kay Murray here with you in the studio. You know why? Because I've got in my head all those teddy bears from yesterday's show, and I wondered if you brought any of them in.
It was a little cove of something.
Of delights.
Just different things were coming up. Porcupine, small bike, T-shirt, everything.
Yeah. And then there was the "Just Be You" quote.
Well, but obviously that's not me.
Well, I mean, you are always just yourself.
My wife. Oh, yeah, I'm myself. Yeah, just be you. But you don't want to know me. But that's my wife. Buy these things, you know, these little messages.
You're blaming it on the wife.
Not that important. It's in the back of that house. That bit of the house where my little. And it's not a studio. It's a freaking camera and a chair. It was like nobody uses it in there, so it can't be that good a picture. You know
It's not bad. It's not bad. I wonder what Mark Clattenburg and Nedum Onuoha have got in their houses. Any fluffy toys? I know that Nedum's actually brought some fluffy toys on the show before. Mark doesn't look like he's got any fluffy toys around him. No, they're joining us tonight for Extra Time. Raise your game, lads. All right, first question.
You know,
We'll try.
I once did this show years ago with a box in my head. I'm being serious.
I've seen the pictures.
When I was still living in the UK and I was doing it from London, from IMG, Tommy Smith, who was on at the time, used to have back in the good old days, had his top 25 of teams of the week. I said, I'm 25. Shaka's lazy, he does 10.
Top 25.
Tommy had his top 25, and Pete Van Leer was shouting in my ear, react to it, Craig, react to Tommy's top 25. And I'm looking around this room, thinking, what am I going to do? I found this box, just emptied it out and put it in my head. I was like, I think that sealed the deal for this move, you know.
I think it might have.
That's all you need to do if you want to move here at ESPN. Put a box in your head, you get a job here.
They expected you to keep it on though, and now you've taken it off.
Well, I'm not that bad, am I?
No, and you've been here a while, so they're obviously happy with what they've got. First question is for you.
I'm not sure about that.
Question for Craig. What is the percentage chance of Lewandowski...
Don?
I know, it's like a Don question. What's the percentage chance of Lewandowski finishing with 50 goals next season with Barca in La Liga, having Rafinha and Dembele as wingers, and those bullet crosses coming in from both ends?
Slim.
Slim?
Yeah. Percentage, I'll give you, I'm thinking Don. I'm trying to think like Don now. No, I would imagine him repeating that in Spain, different league. You know, a lot of good defenders there as well. 10% chance.
All right, under or over 30 goals for him?
I think he could just sneak over 30. 50 would be a big ask again.
All right, fair enough. Next question is for Mark.
What's Benzema been getting? You know, he's maybe, if he gets a 35, something like that. So you've got to have an extra 15 on top of that in La Liga. That's tough.
Okay. Yeah, Messi and Ronaldo, they used to be up there, didn't they, with 40s and 50s?
Yeah, but he's 33. Okay. They were doing it in their 20s.
Mark, were there any teams or stadiums in the Champions League you dreaded being assigned to, knowing you were in for a tough night from either players, managers or hostile fans?
Atletico Madrid for sure. It was one of the most difficult before the move to the new stadium. The old stadium, it was one of them places where it was always difficult. The atmosphere, the coach Simeone always made it difficult. He whipped the fans into a frenzy half the time. And for me, it was one of the most difficult. And they had difficult players that used to try and get in referees' faces. So always one of them places I used to dread.
The Vicente Calderon.
Go on, Mark. Give us a club in England where the fans were just the most horrible to you.
Oh, without doubt, Everton. Without doubt, Everton. On a night match at Goodison. It was one of those special places.
Why were they so hot? Why? Was there a bit of history there, or
yeah,
what?
I'm a bit surprised to hear that.
Come on, Craig. Yeah, probably. Craig, because I've messed up many times at Everton. Probably the Derby day didn't help in 2006. So therefore, they always remember it. But Everton was always, it didn't matter if they won, they still didn't like us. So there was one of them places I just couldn't ever win.
Nedum, did you ever play in a pre-season friendly that was not at all friendly and got a little too violent?
Not really, no, I don't think. There were a couple of players who'd be sort of fine or whatever, but overall, the mindset was, it's pre-season, and the manager might want to see fight from you, but he doesn't actually want to see you fighting. So I don't think there wasn't too much. I think the only thing I'd say is the honourable mention was seeing Vincent Kompany kick Samuel Eto'o for 90 minutes straight in America on one pre-season tour. But aside from that, it tended to be quite calm, to be honest. It was more so just about the football.
It wasn't a pre-season friendly, but it was a World Cup warm-up match.
Right.
In the US, my memory's not that great. I think it was in Miami, but it was against Colombia, and that was an eye-opener. It was it might have been a Euro warm-up match for Euro '96, whatever it was, but it was a warm-up match against Colombia, and I'd never, at that point in my career, as I think I was quite new to the Scotland team at then, it was Euro '96. I hadn't played against a South American team before, international team. That was an eye-opener. Not to suggest that we're all the same, but let me tell you, this particular group of Colombians, they thought a two-footed high tackle around the knee was the norm. Honestly, and we were preparing for the European Championships. I don't know what they would be preparing for at that point, because obviously it wasn't a World Cup year. But they were, it was leg-breaking stuff, and that was an eye-opener.
Yep, getting ready for those CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers.
Those boys down there, they can put a tackle in.
Absolutely.
Rough and tough.
Mark, it feels like there is so much inconsistency in when VAR leads to an official's decision being changed. Any changes in policies you would like to see to help bring more consistent decisions?
Probably the accuracy of the decision-making of the referee would help, because probably what causes the most frustrating thing that we see is that the referee gives a decision and he probably doesn't give the penalty, which everybody thinks it's a penalty, and then the VAR says we support the referee's decision. It's not a clear and obvious error, and therefore it leads to two inconsistent and wrong decisions. So I would prefer that the referee gives the decision and doesn't need the VAR, and only use the VAR when it's an absolute necessary, clear and obvious mistake where everybody believes that it's a mistake. And I think, we just see when the referee goes to the on-field review screen, it's inconsistent. 1 week it is, 1 week it isn't. And I think that's what frustrates everyone. The referee just went back to the basics and made the decision on the field without the fear, and it was backed up where it was a complete wrong decision. And then the VAR would help them out, and that would probably help the system.
We've got lots of questions for Mark today.
Good. Well, that's good. I just want to say that the one thing I would like to see, and make it happen quickly, is please 99.9% of the time, if you can, leave the decision, make the decision be made by the on-field official. So, for example, if somebody in VAR at Stockley Park is rock and rolling the VT umpteen times as you see it, then they're not sure. Just get in the referee's ear and say, have a quick sprint to the monitor and have a look. I'd rather that happen than somebody in Stockley Park taking 3 minutes or 2 minutes or a minute and a half to keep rocking and rolling a video. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Just quickly send the on. I really want the decisions to be made either in real time or by a quick sprint to VAR by the official who is the guy who's been delegated that day. That's all I want. Just so please, for example, the one at the non-penalty call in Rodri at Goodison last year. For God's sake, and if memory serves me right, the referee was not asked to go, after missing it, was not asked to go to the VAR. When I don't think I've met anybody alive that's seen it that doesn't think it was a penalty. So just say to the referee, quick trot to the monitor, go on, get over there now, make a quick decision. But it was left to I believe it was left to the VAR.
Right.
And it was clearly wrong. It has to be, the buck has to stop with the actual referee at the match, whatever way that is. Mark, do you not agree? Stockley Park is there to aid and abet, but would you not, if you were refereeing a game and we had this technology, when you walked out of there at 5:30 or whatever time it was, I think you as a referee, a top referee, would like to have known that you had the final say in all the big decisions at this game.
Yeah, I think what the problem you've got is, I think it's took the power away from the referee to make the initial decision. I think the referees have lost, we'll call it bottle, for example. They haven't got the courage to actually whistle the decision and to think, you know what, I'm not sure, therefore I'll leave it to the VAR, which causes the inconsistency. When I was a referee, I didn't have the technology. I went with a lot of experience. I went with a lot of clues, because you didn't see exactly the whole situation, but you had all the clues around and you whistled a penalty, and 99% of the time you were correct. But now they're not whistling it. The guy in Stockley Park, okay, I support the referee's decision, and they both get it wrong. I totally agree with what you say. When I was a referee with VAR, for example, I want to know when I've made a decision that I can clear it from my head. I've made the decision, I want to go and see it on the screen, and therefore I can justify it to the players. Look, I've seen it again and I'm happy with my decision. But to rely on somebody in Stockley Park to give us a decision, I don't feel comfortable that I can move on in the match to clear that decision for the next one.
All right, this might actually go to pre-VAR. For Mark, how do referees recover from making a bad decision that costs the other team a victory, such as giving a penalty for a dive or being tricked into giving a red card to a player?
Yeah, you always say 2 wrongs don't make a right. It's one of the most difficult things in refereeing, that you've made one wrong decision. Maybe you find out at half time, maybe the TV company is clearly wanting to tell you as you're walking down the tunnel at half time, or one of the coaches are trying to put an iPad in your face to say, look, you've made a clear wrong decision. However, I think referees now are at such a professional level. Yes, they can make mistakes, but they don't want to make another mistake, and therefore they'll accept that they want to get the next decision correct. And for me, you want to make as many right as wrong. However, we talk about balance in football. Yes, we don't want to make, a wrong decision, 2 wrong decisions to make a right decision. However, we need to analyse football and try to bring some balance back into the matches, that we don't have all the wrong decisions, for example, against one club, because that will cause more controversy.
It does kind of half lead on to the next one.
David Ellery gave a penalty kick in the 1994 FA Cup final that I played in for a challenge from Frank Sinclair. I think it was on Andrzej Kanchelskis. Now, Andrzej Kanchelskis was very quick, and that might have skewed the decision, but he was 2 yards outside the box. Well, it didn't affect the result because we were already getting beat. But, you go back to the Championship playoff game as well, where, I don't know, for those who saw it, Nottingham Forest and Huddersfield, there was 2 Huddersfield decisions that didn't go their way. And the referee, I believe, wasn't asked to go to the monitor. And that was the only game in that whole season worth 150 million or whatever it was that had VAR. It was the only game, and the referee wasn't asked to go to the monitor. It looked like 2 stone wall penalties for Huddersfield, and that's potentially cost them a place in the Premier League and all that money. So
hundreds of millions. We always get told about when it comes to that game.
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I was going to say, what Mark said there took me back to a game which Mark refereed, which I was playing in, and I think he sent off Adel Taarabt in the match. And it was a weird decision, but then like a couple of minutes later, he was saying that, I think maybe I got that one wrong. And like, it really diffuses you as a player when the ref like kind of admits that he's a human being. And you're like, oh, well, okay, I guess that's fine then. Instead of some of the other ones where like, they've made a mistake and they know they've made a mistake, but they're just adamantly saying like, no, go away, you're wrong and all this. And then that's when you get like really, really wound up as a player. But I've got to give you credit for that, Mark. You were spot on that day. And I literally can't forget it, because I thought, well, I don't know what to say now.
The problem was, and this is sometimes that happens, I think I gave him a second yellow card for kicking the ball away. And for me, with all the experience, I should never, ever have to issue a second yellow card and just send a player off for kicking the ball away. I think it was QPR Tottenham, if I remember rightly. And you're just thinking to myself, why, as an experienced referee, would I get involved in such a decision? And sometimes, you're caught in the emotion. Sometimes we're talking about Xhaka, for example, getting in referees' faces. Taarabt, for example, was one of these volatile places, probably got under my skin. And therefore, I probably jumped at a decision that when you get a bit of experience, you don't get involved in.
I love the old referees. It just reminds me so much of, it's probably just before your time, Mark, well, it would have been, but a Scottish referee called Willie Young. Willie was brilliant, right? And he wasn't the fittest referee, but he could get around. But he used to, Wally used to give it back in spades. So I used to think Wally used to get so much stick, but he used to just brush it off. And he does after dinner, or he was doing after dinner speaking for quite a while, and he was very good. But some of the stories he was told were true. He did say to me in a big game once, when I was giving him dog's abuse, and he did say, any more of that, Burley, and you'll be visiting your teeth in the dressing room, right? Which made me laugh. And he just took the heat out of the situation. And then one time I was jogging back, right, as usual, and he ran past me, Wally. Wally ran past me. He went, he says, how are you getting a game for Celtic? Even I'm quicker than you. As he was running past me. It's brilliant. And then, honestly, Mark, one time he said to me, the crowd were booing, right? They were booing Wally, right? But he said to me, as the crowd were booing, boo, and he went to me, as somebody was about to take a goal kick, and he went, can you hear that, Burley? I went, what? He went, the crowd are booing you, that's how bad you've been. so he could, Wally knew, he said they're killing him, the crowd's killing him, but he turned it on me. He said, you're having that bad a game, they're booing you, they hate you more than me, all that kind of stuff. I just loved that, the referee, with a little bit of, they had a job to do and we were under pressure, but a bit of humility either way. So I was giving him a bit too much stick, and that was Willie's way of saying to me, hey, come on, shut up and get on with your job. Right. Rather than just give me the old headmaster treatment. Yellow card, you know what I mean, for talking to him. Willie would just give me a bit of sarcasm, or any player of that at that time. It was brilliant.
I think what we've established today is that Craig and Nedum love referees. So there you go, Mark.
I do.
Big fans of referees here. Thanks so much for sending in your tweets.